In Salem, Oregon, enveloped by the crisp winter fog and surrounded by the lush, verdant landscapes of the Pacific Northwest, the community was gearing up for Valentine's Day with a mix of anticipation and festive spirit. However, lurking beneath this celebration of love was a nightmarish reality about to unfold. Barbara, a vibrant young blonde with an infectious smile, had no idea of the dire fate that awaited her when she entered the small, unassuming electronics shop nestled in Salem's quaint downtown. The shop's owner, Leonard, was a man of peculiar contradictions, known for his exceptional skill in repairing phones and gadgets, yet beneath his nerdy, harmless exterior hid a dark and twisted obsession. Leonard harbored a sinister fixation on blonde women, transforming him into a relentless serial killer. With meticulous precision, Leonard had devised a terrifying method of ensnaring his victims. Each woman who visited his shop for repairs unwittingly left with a device that had been tampered with. He secretly installed tracking software on their phones, enabling him to monitor their every move. Alarmingly, many women who had sought Leonard's services had vanished without a trace, stirring whispers and speculation among Salem's residents. Yet no one had managed to connect the dots back to the unassuming repairman. When Barbara handed over her phone for a simple battery replacement, Leonard saw another opportunity. His eyes, usually dull and focused, sparkled with a maniacal intensity as he worked on her device. Unbeknownst to Barbara, he installed the tracking software, fantasizing about his next victim's inevitable downfall. In the days that followed, Barbara began to find notes addressed to her in places she frequented: her favorite coffee shop, the park where she jogged, even near her car. Initially, the notes complimented her beauty, which, as a single woman around Valentine's Day, left her feeling flattered and intrigued. However, the notes gradually became more malicious and insistent, escalating from "you're beautiful" to unsettling messages like "you're mine," "I will have you," and other sinister declarations. What started as a curious and somewhat flattering mystery quickly turned into a source of profound anxiety for Barbara. Someone was watching her, tracing her every step. The horror reached its peak when, the day before Valentine's Day, Barbara's phone suddenly stopped working. Vulnerable without her main means of communication, she decided to return to Leonard's shop for assistance. It was a decision that nearly cost Barbara her life. Upon entering the shop, Leonard greeted her with a smile that barely concealed his excitement. As he pretended to examine the phone, Barbara's gaze wandered, and she realized the shop's innocuous appearance belied the danger within. Before she could react, Leonard approached from behind, incapacitated her with a swift blow, and dragged her into a hidden room behind a false wall. Awakening in a dim, suffocating space, Barbara found herself surrounded by what appeared to be lifeless bodies of other blonde women, a chilling confirmation of Leonard's gruesome activities. Panic turned to desperate resolve as she remembered the work phone in her purse. Frantically searching, her hands trembling, she managed to call the police, whispering her location and the desperate situation she was in. Thanks to her quick thinking and the swift response of law enforcement, the police stormed Leonard's shop within minutes, breaking through the door to rescue Barbara and, indirectly, future potential victims. As Leonard was led away in handcuffs, his gaze met Barbara's. In his eyes was a mixture of rage and disbelief. In hers, a fierce determination and an unwavering will to survive. Salem could finally breathe a sigh of relief, freed from a nightmare that had lurked among them for too long. In a peaceful Virginia town, love seemed to blossom between Emily and Nathan, a couple envied by all for their apparent happiness and harmony. Nathan, with his kind manners and disarming smile, was the boyfriend every girl wished for. Emily, sweet and blindly in love, believed she had found her true love in him. However, beneath this facade of perfection lurked a dark and insidious truth. that would not only shock their relationship, but the entire community. Their story took a macabre turn in the lead-up to Valentine's Day, when Emily, looking for an old message on Nathan's phone, accidentally stumbled upon a series of archived WhatsApp chats. These conversations were with women who no one seemed to know or remember. Intrigued and disturbed, Emily began to read, uncovering a world of betrayals and secrets that Nathan had skillfully hidden. The messages revealed not only that Nathan had been unfaithful throughout their relationship, but also disturbing details that hinted at a far more sinister behavior. These were veiled allusions to secluded places, nocturnal meetings, and even how to make problems disappear, reading like a code for something much darker than mere infidelity. Emily felt the ground slip from beneath her feet, realizing the man she loved could be a monster. In the depths of the night, tormented by nightmares and unanswered questions, Emily decided to confront Nathan. His facade of a devoted lover quickly crumbled under the weight of the evidence, and what emerged was a portrait of a man who reveled in the dangerous game of manipulation and control, not just over the women he had relationships with, but over reality itself. Nathan tried to justify himself, to downplay the seriousness of his actions, but Emily saw through his lies. The revelations became even more macabre when hidden clues in the chats led her to discover physical evidence, personal items of missing women, hidden in Nathan's garage. It was clear that his betrayal concealed a horror even greater. Nathan had not only been ungrateful, but he was responsible for the disappearance of at least some of these women. With her heart broken and her mind in turmoil, Emily confronted Nathan with evidence of his guilt. Their relationship ended that stormy night, with Nathan denying every accusation, and Emily realizing she could never change the true nature of the man she believed she loved. However, the situation didn't end with the conclusion of their relationship. Nathan, unable to accept the breakup and determined to maintain control over Emily, as he had with others before her, began to stalk her. Veiled threats, nighttime lurking, and unsettling messages became the new norm for Emily, forcing her to live in a state of constant fear and paranoia. Eventually, realizing she would never be safe as long as Nathan remained nearby, Emily made the painful decision to leave everything she knew. She changed her name, quit her job, and fled to another state, hoping to escape Nathan's obsession and start a new life away from her tormented past. The memory of Nathan and the dark discoveries became a distant nightmare, one she hoped never to face again. However, one foggy morning, as she approached her mailbox, the past came knocking on the door with a ferocity that froze her blood. Among the bills and usual advertisements, she found a note written in handwriting she immediately recognized. It was from Nathan. "Where did you think you were going?" read the note, simple yet loaded with unimaginable terror. The note from Nathan, with those menacing words, "Where did you think you were going?" marked the beginning of a dark period, a chapter in her life she would have preferred never to face. The community she had sought refuge in, once a source of comfort and security, became a stage for curious looks and whispered rumors. Some neighbors and acquaintances, aware of only fragments of the story, began to spread rumors that Emily had gotten back together with Nathan, perhaps driven by terror or a complex Stockholm syndrome. These speculations were fueled by her increasing seclusion and the silence she had chosen as her refuge. Other, darker, and more disturbing rumors suggested that Emily had attempted to end the threat once and for all, planning a murder against Nathan to free herself from her stalker for good. Although unconfirmed, these tales added an additional layer of mystery and tension around her figure, making her a constant topic of conversation. The truth, however, remained behind the closed doors of Emily's house, turned into a fortress. She ventured out less and less, and on the rare occasions was seen in the public, her appearance was that of a profoundly changed woman, her gaze constantly shadowed by fear and doubt. Her eyes, once lively and full of hope, now reflected the depth of her torment. On a cold Valentine's Day evening in the quiet town of Ashwood, Oregon, Melissa, a young cashier at a local supermarket, prepares to close the store. It's an evening like many others, except that it's the day of love, and Melissa feels lonelier than usual, watching the last customers hurry to buy wilted flowers and chocolates on sale. As Melissa checks the last shelves, an elderly lady enters the supermarket, almost invisible among the shadows brought by the evening. The woman approaches Melissa with uncertain steps, her eyes hidden behind the thick lenses. She asks Melissa to help her find a gift for her deceased husband, to commemorate their wedding anniversary that falls on Valentine's Day. Although perplexed by the strange request, Melissa decides to help the woman, moved by compassion and curiosity. The woman leads Melissa to the back of the store, to a shelf Melissa had never noticed before, where unusual items are found. Old yellowed photographs, dull jewelry, and love letters worn by time. As Melissa observes the objects, the temperature around her seems to drop, and a shiver runs down her spine. The elderly lady tells Melissa the story of her great love, lost under mysterious circumstances many years ago on Valentine's night. As she listens, Melissa starts to hear noises, light footsteps echoing between the shelves, barely perceptible whispers that seem to call her name. The air becomes charged with an almost palpable electric energy. Convinced it's time to close and leave the store, Melissa turns to invite the elderly lady to leave, but discovers she has disappeared, leaving her alone among the shelves. Confused and frightened, Melissa tries to reach the exit, but every time she attempts to approach the automatic doors, she finds herself magically back in the same aisle, as if trapped in an endless loop. Panic and terror take hold of Melissa as she begins to realize that the supermarket has become a supernatural labyrinth, a place where the boundaries between the world of the living and that of spirits blur. The lost love stories and restless souls seem to emerge from the mysterious shelf's objects, seeking to communicate with her, to share their unheard stories. At dawn, after a night of fear and desperation, Melissa finally manages to break the cycle. Understanding that the only way to free herself is to listen and accept the stories of the spirits, giving them the farewell they seek. As Melissa walks away from the supermarket, her heart still heavy from the experience, she notices a slight burning sensation on her finger. She then remembers the encounter with an unsettling-looking lady at the beginning of her workday. This woman, with quick and almost imperceptible movements, had pricked Melissa's finger with a black pin, whispering words under her breath that Melissa couldn't understand. At the moment, she had dismissed it as a simple accident, but now, in light of the strange events, everything took on a different meaning. Melissa had always been aware of her beauty and the fact that she didn't go unnoticed, especially at work, where she often received unwanted attention. However, the idea that someone could go so far as to use black magic to target her out of envy was something she could have never imagined. This thought deeply unsettled her, making her feel vulnerable in a way she had never felt before. In the following days, Melissa began to research black magic and ways to protect herself from potential curses. She discovered that objects like the black pin could be used as catalysts to direct negative energies towards a person. The realization that she had been targeted in such a personal and malign attack led her to reflect on how she could defend herself and prevent future assaults. Determined not to be intimidated, Melissa assisted a local store specialized in herbalism and esoteric objects. Here, with the help of a woman experienced in protections and amulets, she chose specific items to defend herself from further attacks. A small amulet to always carry with her, purifying incense for her home, and bath salts to eliminate the negative energies accumulated. Over time, Melissa felt the weight of the experience lived that Valentine's night decrease, and began to perceive her life with greater serenity. In a small American town, where streets intertwine like threads on an ancient fabric, two young lovers, Lucas and Emily, find themselves facing the most challenging moment of their relationship. With Valentine's Day approaching, what once symbolized their unconditional love now marked their painful separation. Without fights or clear misunderstandings, Lucas suddenly decided to distance himself from Emily, leaving her enveloped in sadness and confusion. Heartbroken, Emily couldn't find an explanation for Lucas's disappearance. Their souls, once inseparable, now seemed divided by an insurmountable abyss. Lucas's silence was deafening, an enigma she couldn't decipher. Deep down, however, an inner voice suggested that there was something darker behind his sudden goodbye. In the following weeks, a series of unsettling events began to disturb the town's tranquility. Threatening messages, stealthy shadows behind windows on moonless nights, and strange signs left near Emily's house. It was as if a malevolent presence had clamped down on her life in a grip of terror. Fear became a constant companion, whispering that perhaps Lucas hadn't left on his own volition. Meanwhile, Lucas, away from everyone's eyes, was fighting his battle. He had discovered that he was targeted by a dangerous individual, a serial killer who had fixated his sick obsession on Emily. The decision to leave her was heart-wrenching, but necessary for her protection. Secretly, he began collaborating with law enforcement, risking his life to trap the maniac threatening the love of his life. The plan was clear: lure the killer into a trap, using Lucas as bait. The tension grew daily, and the danger became ever more palpable. Lucas knew each move could be fatal, but the thought of saving Emily gave him the strength to continue. Fate, however, had a twist in store that no one could have anticipated. After years of investigations and surveillance, the day of reckoning arrived in the form of a tense standoff in an abandoned factory on the city's outskirts. Lucas, law enforcement, and the killer, face to face in a tension-filled finale. At the climax, when the killer was about to deliver his final blow against Lucas, law enforcement intervened, thwarting the evil plan. It was then that the truth came to light. The maniac was none other than Lucas's cousin, a figure who had shared their childhood games, now transformed into a monster driven by jealousy and madness. Emily, led to the spot by an inexplicable instinct, witnessed the final scene, discovering the truth behind Lucas's sacrifice. Her heart, once heavy with abandonment, now overflowed with gratitude and renewed love. Lucas had silently fought a dark war for their safety, a hero masked by human vulnerability. After the arrest of Lucas's cousin, the town could finally return to normalcy. Lucas and Emily, with their souls intertwined once again, discovered that true love knows no insurmountable obstacles. That Valentine's Day, which had marked the beginning of their nightmare, became the symbol of their victory over darkness, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, love can find a way to shine even brighter.